I think ako personally very fortunate ako na I was exposed to stand-up at a very, very young age. Like my family is like huge fans of Tito Rex. Like, sorry Tito Rex, the first time I heard you was from LimeWire, no? I will pay you late. Hindi, pero ganun talaga, like, yung family ko, like, they made me, listen to, actually, napanood ko yung Marites and the Super Friends. So parang, wow, ang galing, nakakatawa. And nagulat lang ako na, pwede mo pala gawin to. Pwedeng magsalita ka lang and people are gonna be like, wow, ang galing mo. Tapos, babayad sila ng tickets, pupunta sa shows mo. And I learned that at a very young age. So parang, ano lang siya minanifest ko lang talaga siya na ito yung gusto kong gawin. So bata pa lang ako, tinatry ko na maging nakakatawa. Tinatry ko na magsulat. Hindi ko pa alam kung paano magsulat ng jokes dati, pero tinatry ko until umabot sa point na parang may nag-aya sa akin, uy, di ba may hindi ka sa stand-up? But manood tayo ng stand-up comedy. Tapos sinabi niya manood, sabi ko, mag-try na lang kaya ako. Di ba? So, masaya ako na ever since nag-try ako noong 2016 hanggang ngayon ginagawa ko pa rin siya. Kasi hindi lang, it wasn't just that it was fun, pero as Margie said, the scene is so supportive. Lalo na sa Comedy Manila, like after no first time kong mag-try ng stand-up comedy, nilapitan ako ni GB na, uy, nakakatawa kahit alam ko hindi ito. Parang mabait lang sila eh. Pero nakaka-push talaga siya eh. So parang, it really is a dream come true na nagagawa ko to, na nasimulan ko, napakinggan ko lang yung joke ni Tito Rex from way, way, way before. So, he's old, no? Anyway, that's it for me. So, ano pa bang,
Ayun, sa akin naman po, ako po si Nolo Balinan. So, nag-start ako siguro medyo nung high school pa, medyo siguro class clown ako nung bata. So hindi ko pa masyadong ina-accept na comedian ako kasi gusto ko talagang sumayaw. Parang sumali pa ako sa isang dance club dati. Tapos hindi ka bagay dito. Doon ka sa drama club. So nung nagkaroon ng parang invitation na, uy, meron kaming may open mic kami sa Katipunan. So hindi ko pa alam na may eksena na ganito, may stand-up comedy na, Pinoy stand-up comedy. So trinay kong pumunta doon, kasama ko yung isang kaibigan ko, sumalang kami. So may pa kami, may kaduo pa ako nung para kaming pork chop duo. Hanggang sa lumalim na, nung nakilala ko yung Comedy Manila, mas lumalim pa yung pagkakilala ko sa comedy. Tapos doon na rin ako natuto na makapagsulat ng jokes dahil na rin kay GB. Kasi si GB rin yung parang nag-guide sa akin. Siguro sa 12 years ko, nandiyan pa rin si GB sa likod ko. Hanggang ngayon, na ginaguide niya pa rin ako dito sa eksena. Hindi ko akalain na magiging eto na yung pupuntahan ng career ko kasi parang nilaban ko pa siya sa tatay ko noon eh. Parang tinanong ako ng tatay ko, magkano ba kinikita mo dyan sa stand-up na yan? Wala akong nasagot kasi wala talaga. wala. Pero ngayon at least ngayon medyo masasabi ko na kaya na siyang pagkakitaan at nagagawa ko yung passion ko at kumikita ako dun. So, sobrang swerte ko na makilala kong mga to dahil dinala nila ako kung saan ako nararapat. Parang gano'n.
Yung tahay naman, hindi yung kasi diba, pagka may kapansanan ka sa Pilipinas, katulad ko sa ako ko, di ba lang nung bata ako, lagi akong inaano, binubuli talaga eh. So, habang nangyari pagbubuli sa akin, kahit tumawa mo sa akin, tawag sa akin mo, ganun ka na talaga. Ang dami kong kwento na gano'n na binabalikan ko na nakakatawa na lang sa ngayon. medyo matagal kong na-develop yung ano, yung pang confident yan, and then yung humor, and then every day nang paggungo ka, may mga bagay na talagang nakakatawa, like may bumili ako sa isang fast food, hindi maintindihan nung kaya yung in-order ko, tinawag ko isang kahayan, another kahayan, at then yung mahal ko, lumabas na, nagsabi ay sir, wala pala kami ganyan. Bakit ganun kasimpleng bagay na nakakatawa sa balikan, di ba? Kaya doon ko parang nahumugot yung mga yung comedy ko doon sa mga pang-araw-araw na buhay. Hindi mo siya tinasadya, nangyayari lang talaga siya. And fortunately, nakilala ko yung Comedy Manila through Cool Podcast. So, doon ko nabawag, ay, pwede ko pala pagkakitaan to, ibig na naninimot ako, di ba ka? Ganun lang. Anyway, thank you guys.
As a woman, hindi na, nung mga generation ko kasi, parang limitado, kapag sinabi mong gusto mong maging komedyante, very limited nung mga panahong yun, yung mga options mo. Ang option mo lang, batukan ka sa TV, or magkakaraoke master ka, katulad nung Alabay's Ganda. May mga taong hindi pasok dun sa mga ganong klaseng path ng pagiging komedyante. Kaya nagpapasalamat kami dahil nung panahon namin, dun mo makikita yung limitation. Pero napakaswerte ng generation na to dahil meron ng Comedy Manila na may nagbigay ng platform na pwede ka palang magpatawa ng hindi mo kailangan magmukhang tanga. Yan na po ang aming bagong slogan. Kaya nagpapasalamat din ako dahil in-spearhead din ni Rex Navarrete and i-pass down niya to GB Labrador. Na alam ko marami sa inyo hindi pa nakakilala kay GB Labrador. Pero isa siya ang nagtaguyod ditong stand-up comedy scene na to na talagang from the 2010 nagbubuhat ng stage na tabla para ipatong doon sa mga taong hindi naman intention nilang manood ng stand-up. Nandun lang sila para uminom, pero tatayo siya doon, magpe-perform kasama ng mga ibang nag-uumpisang mga comedians na sila Red Oliero, Victor Anastasio. Yun ang siguro, yun ang kailangan ninyong malaman ngayon na parang si GB Labrador, isa sa mga magagaling na stand-up comedians na hindi nyo naririnig hanggang ngayon. Pasalamat ka sa akin, GB.
I started late. I started last year when I was 38. Ginawa ko siya kasi tinotopak na ako because I was working in the media for a long time at I think you all know na sobrang stressful yung trabaho, so I needed an outlet. So dun ko lumabas yung sama ng loob ko. And like Alexia, I grew up loving stand-up for the longest time. Pero for the longest time din, ang focus ko was serious writing, like journalism, fiction, ganon. Tapos it was thanks to working in the media na na-realize ko na komportable ako with the mic. Na kulang ko sa pansin. Ganon. So, ayun, parang try ko. And then, yun, here I am.
Sa akin siguro, masarap yung feeling na makarinig ng tawa. So, ako yung nagpapapos ng feeling. Tapos din, nung
pababa naman ng konti.
Sinubukan ko kaya ko magpatawa ng ibang tao na hindi ako kilala. Tapos yung first time ko makinig ng tawa ng ibang tao, nakaka-addict siya. So yun na yung naging way para sa akin na magsulat, sumampa, mag-open mic. Tapos then, as I kept doing open mic, nakilala ko sila. And then you see the potential of everyone. Tapos, walang open mic pa lang. So gumagaling na sila, pero walang proper stage for everyone to shine and to showcase their talent. So, yun yung kasong ba't nabuo yung Comedy Manila because these comedians need that proper stage. Kaya talaga sabi ni James, binubuhat namin yung stage. Talaga kasi walang ganitong klaseng venue noon eh. So, restaurant, tatayo kami ng stage, and then we'll do open mic. And then, may 5 tao, hindi sila punta para open mic. So, yung challenge namin, patawanin sila. na hindi nila alam na may ganitong comedy. And that's how we got better by making, yung mga audience na hindi talaga punta for comedy na try namin jokes namin sa kanila. So, that's how we began. Tapos, that's how it started. Tapos, kaya hindi sinasabi ko James, di ako kilala. Kasi I was always working behind the scene. Ako palagi yung mag-host, hindi ako yung closer. So, I'm the one na ako yung magbabala sa mga comedians to make sure na hindi magsasawa yung tao kahit ilang beses kayo manood. So, iniisip ko kung ano yung paano sila ito-jumble. So, sa Comedy Manila, since dinotice yan, sumikat yan sila Alex muna, bago me, because I always put them more on stage than me because someone needs to work behind the scene. Hindi pwedeng lahat kami nasa entablado. Pag nasa entablado kami lahat, walang mangyayari. So, I have to take that journey as the organizer, producer. But now that meron ng katulad ng Big Wall, I get to focus now on being a comedian more than a producer. So it was a long wait, but it was worth it kasi hindi ko din kaya mag-isa eh. Like Rex said, you cannot do it by yourself. You need a group of comedians that will hold the fort for you. Kasi kailangan ng sulat eh. So pag ikaw lang yung comedian, tapos wala kang tinulungan o wala kang pinutap na something to help grow the scene, mauubos lang din yung audience, magsasawa lang din sila. So, if I'm writing new jokes, sila, Nonong, sila James, Alexio, Roger, they're the ones giving the jokes here. So, meron ng time magsulat, meron ng time mag-prepare. So, now, when you watch, talagang, may bago, maganda. So it took us 12 years. And I can tell you, it was all worth it kasi to hear you guys say that we did a good job on stage and you guys enjoying it and saying that you're going to spread the word. That is the goal and the mission that we had since day one. So sobrang saya.
How I started? I had to walk away from modeling full time because Jakarta is a tough market, and there's Mormons recruiting me. Anyway. No, I guess through high school, middle school, I was never the class clown. Class clowns always got caught by the principal, and you had to do time. I was the class comedian. I wrote material for the class clown. He'll get in trouble for me. I tested my material for the class clown. I gave him ideas, so I was always under the radar. But if you know any comics, personally, you you see what we do on stage. But in real life, we're some of the most introverted people. We like to overthink and over worry. I think that's one of the natures of being a stand-up comic because we have so much on our mind, and there's a lot going on. It depends where you pull your material from. Me, I pull it from you guys. From our culture and just how we're ever evolving. Some people get it from politics, and, it comes from anywhere. But I did want to just try to explore doing stand-up in San Francisco. There was no Filipino real stand-up, and the only other stand-up being done by technically Filipinos was Rob Schneider, who never said he was Filipino. We had to find out through the grapevine because we knew his mom. Someone in my family or in the neighborhood knew Rob Schneider's Filipino mom. But he would never say that. So we would always have to hope. But there was actually one Filipino-American stand-up comic who I always looked up to, and I consider him a mentor. I was always a big super fan, and I got to work with him later in his life. He's still around, but no one knows him. His name is Andy Bumatai from Hawaii. So Hawaii has its own stand-up comedy scene. They never made it to the mainland United States because it was very specialized, localized stand-up comedy, for local Hawaiian people. Because if you know anything about Hawaii, we got different cultures mixing together, and they found a way to get along. And their way of getting along in Hawaii is make fun of each other. Like to the point where you're insulting your next door neighbor, who happens to be of another race. Okay? That's the style in Hawaii. No one in the mainland likes that style. They find it offensive and not PC. But if you go to Hawaii, it's just the way it is. People get along. And those were my first teachers. I learned some of the most racist jokes done about Filipinos, done by Filipinos, and racist jokes about Samoans and Portuguese. Oh my God. Oh, why am I laughing at this? Oh, because I'm broken. And found out those were my early influences. And so Hawaii was a big influence for me, the Hawaii comedy scene. And of course, British comedy. I think I was the only kid in my whole group that watched every episode and memorized every sketch of Monty Python's Flying Circus. So yeah, I was that kid. And of course, little Benny Hill on the side. But Monty Python's Flying Circus, those guys, they're living gods to me. So they were my first early influences of sketch comedy writing and the art of the ridiculous. And I never knew that you could be that in comedy, that you can be ridiculous. You know, you could stretch reality and the truth. You know, you could try to sell a dead parrot to a guy. You know, I learned that. It's not that, it's sleeping. No, it's not magic, you know. So yes, those are my first influences. Those guys from England. And of course, Saturday Night Live. I would have to stay up really late as a kid to watch the greats, like George Carlin and Eddie Murphy. You know, and so those guys are still my heroes. So I guess I was lucky to have Richard Pryor, you know, and all that. But later in my comedy career, I did discover who the greatest stand-up comic in America was, and but people don't consider him a stand-up comic because he didn't really do stand-up comedy like we do. He would travel the world and just sit in a theater, no microphone, and just project and do a 2 or 3 hour humorous talk. That was stand-up, and that guy was Mark Twain. Yeah. And I became an even bigger fan of Mark Twain when he started writing letters of support for Philippine independence during the late 1800s. Yeah, he was an anti-imperialist. He spoke on behalf of the Filipino people to have our own republic. This is a stand-up comedian. Oh my God, can we be that dangerous? Actually, yeah. One of the most dangerous men on the planet right now, the most kick-ass individuals in the world right now is going up against Russia. He's a comic. His name is Volodymyr Zelensky. He's on standby. He's not doing comedy right now. He's busy trying to keep his people alive, which is amazing. Huh? This guy, he's a comedian, you know, doing the good fight. And I think that's what you see every night when you come to these shows, to my show. It's a little bit of the good fight. You know, a true tradition in stand-up or comedy, good comedy, is if you're going to talk about the power structure, you got to punch up, never punch down. You're an asshole if you do. Punch up, because that's how you empower everybody else, and that's how you keep the whole tradition of true stand-up. Stand-up is dangerous, and it should make you think, and it should keep a movement going where it allows people to express what they really need to share with the world, what they really think. And a little bit of that you saw tonight. Oh, maybe a lot of it. Half of you guys should be arrested right now. But I think that's one of the reasons why I went to stand up, because I got to see very heroic individuals get up on stage, and especially George Carlin, one of the most